Cool. My name is Seven Jacobs. I'm a social entrepreneur and advocate for mental health. And catch me this week on The Jesse T Show.
Seven Jacobs, my brother. What's going on, man?
I'm good, man. A little bit tired, but really, really excited for this conversation. Let's get into it.
What's got you tired today?
Well, you know what? The last 2021, essentially, to say the last year, but
The
2021,
whole
this whole
18 months.
the whole of COVID um is just been it's been a time to really put my head down and get lots of work done.
Yep.
Obviously it comes to a time when you need to take a break, and because of the way that I'm really awful at that. So I'm coming to a time when I'm feeling a little bit kind of burned out and want to instead focus. Well, I'm taking some time away, but I'm also focusing on why I do what I do. Right. And I think today's conversation is actually going to be really invigorating for me because we're going to get a chance to talk about some of the stuff that I love the most, and why I do all the put in all the effort that I put in, etc. So yeah, man, it's just one of those times, and I feel like a lot of people are probably feeling that right now.
Yeah,
But let's see if we can talk a bit about how to make it purposeful and focus on that and
I
let that
love
be
that.
energizing.
Yeah, that'd be a great conversation to have. Yeah, for me, I've been through similar periods over the last 18 months specifically, and really more so this year. So like from January 2021 to right now, we're shooting this August 30th. Um, I've had multiple periods, days, week, where it's just been an energetic low. It's
Mm,
been something, and I'm very attuned to my own energy and to what's kind of going on in different parts of the world and even beyond. And so I feel like there's a lot of people, like you mentioned, that have had these feelings and have had these spells, downturns. They feel like maybe not a lot of energy, maybe not a lot of drive, maybe not really, maybe just kind of absorbing all that is that's going on. And so I'd like to hear about kind of some of what you're doing. And I'll just say for me,
sure.
I, I've I've uh, I've learned to really kind of just listen to those moments and really just pay attention to self care in those moments. And so like there's been a lot more
Mm,
rest in the last 9 months. There's been a lot more plugging into people that kind of fill my soul and fill my bucket, so to speak. There's been a lot more self care with like massages and like physical body work to kind of move some energy through, and even some different types of therapies. Do you know what
yeah.
EFT tapping is? You know what?
No, I feel like it sounds very familiar, but
Yeah.
I
So
can't
there's
remember now.
something I learned with the help of a wonderful mentor named Nicole Lano, where you can move energy through the body almost like where you have meridian points and energy points, like if you were to do acupuncture. You can do
Right.
tapping. So you start at your temple, you go your eye, your nose,
Yeah, I
chin,
think you described this to me on our
chest,
last recording,
here.
actually.
And it helps you
Yeah.
move energy through. But then what you can do, and like we've actually done some inner child work while doing this tapping, and it's been a beautiful release. So I've just had to really get focused this last 9 months specifically on how to kind of like get myself to a place of wholeness, because there have been times where I
Mm,
felt out of alignment with myself. So tell me about your journey.
sure. Sure. And that alignment is something I didn't understand for a long time. And now that there's always more to learn. There's always further to go. But I think now I'm so much closer than before. And you describing that to me is like, wow, this sounds so familiar, right? I get what you mean. And I think if it's gonna happen at any point, it's gonna happen now, or the last 9 to 18 months, right? Is when it's gonna come out. So um I guess yeah, for myself, we talked a lot in our last time we spoke together. We talked a lot about my journey in growing up and with mental health. And as a result, I was very angry, a very cynical, and very frustrated teenager, right? As you'd probably expect. And to be honest, that in itself is not uncommon, but it was the cynicism for me that kept me from thinking, or from how should I say, of having any vision beyond what was right in that moment. So you get to that crossroads naturally, when you're kind of becoming an adult, and you're like, what the fuck do I want to do? And so I got to that crossroad as a very cynical person, with a very, very limited kind of mindset, really not very expansive, lots of self-limiting beliefs, and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, period. Um, I had a strong desire to try to make the world a better place, but I was very cynical about business and money and corporate jobs and any of that kind of stuff because of that life that I'd had growing up. Um, and so I kind of thought, well, my only real options are to either become a politician or to work for a charity in some regard. But I had a really strong desire to change my life. And at the time, what that really meant was be more financially secure. But actually, I think bigger than that was how do I be the person I want to be, right? So like, when you're like watching, it could be movies and TV shows, it could even be friends of other people in your real life, and you're like, I wish I had that quality, right? Or I wish I was more like that. I was like that with so many ways, with so many people, because I felt so restricted and closed down. Um, I felt so walled off from the rest of the world and from who I wanted to be. So I think more than that, I wanted to really explore myself. So it got to the point where I took a year off before I went to university or college, um, and kind of was like, what do I want to do? Throughout this year. One of the things I did um, during that year away is I went and lived in Nepal for 3 months.
Wow.
I lived in a really small, a really tiny, I mean, tiny mountaintop village called Barte, which overlooked. When I say overlooked, it was on the horizon, but very clear. A couple of the Annapurna Mountains, a couple of the biggest mountains in the world. I think within the top 10
Wow.
are there, because most of the bit tallest mountains in the world are in Nepal anyway, so that's actually not that big a deal, but the pictures were beautiful, and if I can find any, I'll send them to you if you want to
Please
put them
do.
anywhere or
I'd love to
whatever.
see it.
um it was really beautiful, really removed from everything else, and I was living there with the host family to volunteer. It was part of a program to volunteer in their village.